Hey guys. This is what if Naruto faked his death. At the end of the 4th Shinobi War, things don't go quite as planned for Naruto, forcing him to make a sacrifice in order to bring the peace that he had been destined for. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 1. The Price to be Paid. Rain battered the ground in torrents, creating small rivers on the muddy ground. The sky looked as though it would rain for an eternity, attracted by the fires that set the surrounding trees ablaze. It looked like the world was in mourning, and it wept for the lives of those that had recently been taken. The 4th Great Shinobi War did not last very long. In fact, since the fighting started, only 5 days passed, and then it came to an end in a whimper rather than a bang. Two rivals that once called each other friends had fought, and one had lost. And in this fight, losing meant only one thing: death. It wasn't supposed to end this way. A teen with spiky blonde hair cried out in agony and regret. His shirt had been torn and several deep wounds were scattered all over his body, although they were healing rather quickly. And how was it supposed to end, Dobe? The other teen asked weakly. A small trickle of blood was escaping from the corner of his mouth, and his dark raven hair was dirty with mud from where he lay. Naruto clenched his eyes, trying not to let any tears escape. His efforts were futile, however, as he could not help but cry, knowing that the first person he ever was able to call a friend was about to die from his wounds. He looked into the air, not wanting to show weakness even now, to Sasuke, and silently thanking the rain for allowing his grief to remain hidden. We were supposed to die together. That's what I saw the last time we fought, and that's what the Grand Geezer Toad saw. We are both supposed to die. Is that it? Some prophecy is going to make you react like this. Sasuke coughed, spitting out some more blood. He could feel that he didn't have much time left, but he would be damned if things ended this way. Since when have you ever let fate boss you around? If you did, then a loser like you would never have made it this far. He smirked. But this was my answer, Naruto said weakly. The fact Sasuke was actually joking with him just made things that much worse. Sasuke raised an eyebrow in confusion. Answer to what? Erosenin and Nagato's quest. This was how I was going to bring peace, Naruto said, falling to his knees beside the fallen Uchiha. Naruto turned his cerulean eyes back down to his friend and saw that Sasuke had no idea what Naruto was talking about. Erosenin once told me that the world was cursed by hatred, and he believed that if people truly understood each other. Then I met Nagato, and he believed that only through pain could peace be accomplished, Naruto explained while thinking back fondly on his master and fellow student of Jiraiya. Is this going somewhere? Because I don't exactly have all day, Sasuke said with a weak smirk before wincing in pain. Yes, it does. The answer to end the circle of hatred is for everyone to lose. A joint loss that will unite everyone. Kakashi-sensei told me before I left that they are calling me the hero of the elemental nations. I die and everyone loses the person they consider a hero. Then everyone would understand each other's pain. The blonde spoke, trying to make Sasuke understand. Sasuke couldn't help but laugh. Always the loyal Dobe, huh? Well, I guess things can't be helped anymore. But were you really willing to throw away your dream of becoming Hokage for this? He asked. The last Uchiha's voice was cracking and he had to spit out a hefty amount of blood as his internal organs began to shut down. I am the legacy of my master, and Erosenin believed in me, so it is my duty to carry on his will. As for being Hokage, how could I protect a village when I couldn't even save a friend? This was my answer, but now I don't know what to do, the blonde admitted, sounding like he had suffered a soul-crushing defeat. Sasuke sighed and gazed up into the sky. It's typical. I don't deserve to see the sun nor the stars when I die. Just the darkness and rainclouds that have filled my heart with the need for revenge, he thought before making up his mind to do the only thing he could for the only person he had ever called his friend. Half a mile away there is a cave. Inside you will find the last of the Zetsu clones. Without Tobi they have no real purpose. I was going to use them to destroy Konoha, but that doesn't seem likely now. He tried to laugh again, but the action proved too painful. Why are you telling me this? Naruto asked. Kami, I swear you get dumber by the year. Use one of the Zetsu clones, make it transform into you, then stab it with my sword. When they find the body, everyone will assume we died together, Sasuke explained. It was now becoming quite difficult for him to remain conscious, almost to the point where he was having small moments that his eyes blurred out of focus. Do you think that would work, Kurama? Naruto asked. It's a sound plan, Naruto. If you decided that we should do this, we will have to leave the elemental nations, and we may never be able to return, the large nine-tailed fox said with a hint of empathy for his partner. Naruto knew that already. but them thinking he was dead would be just as effective. Although for him it would be so much more difficult and painful than dying. Not knowing when, or if he would ever be able to see his friends again, or see the sun rise over the Hokage monument. Ero-sennin once told me that a shinobi's life is sacrifice. I think I finally know what he was talking about. Itachi sacrificed his life for a village he loved, and I will do the same. He paused for a moment before continuing. I guess I will have to become Hokage in my next life instead. Sasuke scoffed before looking up at the blonde. This is the second time I have died helping you, he said, joking about their first real mission where he jumped in the way of Haku's Senbon. Whatever you do, Naruto, don't give up on your DR. His eyes widened and the last word he was going to speak failed to escape his lips. Sasuke! Naruto yelled, quickly moving to check his vitals but found no signs of life. I'm sorry, Naruto, but he's gone, the last of accursed people. And one of the strongest there had ever been. Kurama said calmly. Another thing we had in common, both the last of our clan. Uzumaki and Uchiha. Naruto sighed, refusing to shed any more tears. You are not the last Uzumaki. Your clan may be scattered but it still lives on. Kyuubi assured the blonde. Really, I would have liked to meet them. I guess that's not going to happen now. Our chakra signature is too unique to survive in this world without anyone discovering who I am. Maybe one day if I return I will look for one of them. I would like to meet one at least once. Well, other than Kasen, Naruto replied. Again, you already have, Nagato. He was an Uzumaki, that is why he was able to withstand the overwhelming power of the Rinnegan. The willpower of the Uzumaki clan is not something to be laughed at. I have seen that firsthand for well over 100 years. Kurama spoke with a smirk, thinking about Mito and Kushina, then all the times that Naruto had stood up to him in the recent past. He despised the boy for such a long time, but during the war they had become friends. Now the fox looked back at Naruto's past in an almost endearing manner. I guess my clan was really something, huh? Naruto huffed, and slowly stood up. You think you can find the cave Sasuke was talking about? I am sure that I could, but it would be best not to use my chakra around them. Kurama answered, recalling how the versions of Zetsu were affected by Naruto's fox mode cloak. Yeah, you're right, they all turned into those giant tree things. Naruto replied with a laugh. It may have been a weird transformation as the excess of life-affirming energy had caused the white Zetsu to destabilize due to their connection with Hashirama Senju, the Shodai Hokage. With that said, the transformation made the Hashirama clones far easier to kill. Use the sage mode taught to you by the toads. That should be enough to locate the cave. Kyuubi suggested. Naruto nodded in agreement. The ability to draw nature chakra from the world around him gave Naruto sharp sensory capabilities. He could sense those around him for miles, and the more he used this skill the stronger it became. The blonde teen stood perfectly still while the freezing rain battered against his back. For several moments nothing happened, almost like he was a statue, until the pigment around his eyes began to darken to a deep orange color. As Naruto opened his eyes, the vibrant cerulean blue was gone. In its place were brilliant golden orbs with a large jet-black bar pupils. I found it. He spoke calmly. It was a side effect of the use of senjutsu. You need to relax to the point that you become one with the world around you, making it rather difficult to not feel relaxed. Instantly Naruto's wounds began to heal several times faster than the accelerated healing capabilities awarded to him from his clan and enhanced by his partner. Then what are we waiting for? This needs to be done before the rain stops, and you can be tracked by your scent. Kyuubi warned. Right, it wouldn't do any good if we left a Zetsu clone here only for Kiba and Akamaru to find our trail. Naruto agreed, and in the blink of an eye he was gone, jumping through trees in the direction that Sasuke had indicated before he died. It was only a short trip, less than 5 minutes at the speed that Naruto was traveling. When he landed he found an undisturbed cliff face. This is it, they are inside. I just need to find an entrance. Naruto sighed as he began searching the area for a hole into the cave. You know this isn't like you. Why not just blast your way inside? It's not like killing a few would be a bad thing. They are just mindless husks now that their master is gone, along with the original two halves. The fox reasoned. I guess you're right, it might be better for them if they were killed anyway. The last thing this world needs is more reminders of the Akatsuki. Naruto sighed before slamming his fist into the hard rocky surface of the cliff with the aid of a senjutsu-enhanced punch. Naruto tumbled through the wall as it cracked open with ease and found himself inside an immense underground hall. The floors were flat, and so smooth that the blonde was sure that this was no naturally occurring landmark. Wow, this place is huge, Naruto said in awe. His voice echoed back at him from all directions as he marveled at the vast emptiness that stood before him. That is relative, to you I am huge. This place was made large for a purpose. To store those Hashirama clones? If it was full, you would say it was cramped. QB chuckled, glad that something was taking Naruto's mind off of the dead Uchiha. You are huge, you can't say that everyone else is small just because you are so big. Face it, you are the minority in this instance. Naruto retorted. QB scoffed but knew Naruto was just trying to irritate him for a laugh. As much as I would like to continue this ever so pointless discussion, I would like to point out that we have a job to do and time spent enjoying the sights is time wasted. Alright, geez, for a guy who spends most of his time sleeping, you sure are impatient. Naruto replied before starting to walk towards the location he felt Zetsu's chakra signature. At the very back of the hall, Naruto found a spiraling staircase made of stone. They are down here, but I can't sense any movement, he said as he began descending the staircase. The room below was far smaller. Naruto could see all the way to the other side thanks to his enhanced vision while in sage mode. Well, here they are. Looks like it's well over 100. Good thing we only need one. Kurama spoke in Naruto's mind. Naruto nodded. The floor of the room was indeed filled with close to 100 white Zetsu, who all turned to face Naruto as he walked down the stairs yet remained impassive. I'm no expert, but shouldn't they be attacking me or something? The blonde asked. It seems without their master they no longer have a purpose. Perhaps that is why Sasuke thought he could use them as his own. QB suggested upon landing at the base of the stairs. Naruto shrugged, agreeing that it was as good a theory as any he could come up with as he approached the closest Zetsu. Hey you! Can you understand me? He asked cautiously, not willing to drop his guard for an instant with a room full of potentially deadly ninja. To answer his question, the clone nodded slowly. You will follow me and do as I say. This time it was a command. Naruto wanted to see how the soldiers of the former Akatsuki army would respond to such a statement. For a few moments nothing happened. Several Zetsu clones shuffled around uncomfortably as if trying to find a little extra room in the crowded basement. But eventually the clone Naruto had ordered nodded in agreement. Well, what do you know? These things were just waiting for someone to come along and control them. You could have a nice little personal army if you wanted. QB teased, knowing that Naruto would never do something like that. Despite Naruto's wish to become Hokage, he never desired power for the sake of being stronger than everyone or being feared. He simply wished to protect those precious to him. That had been his ideology ever since his first real mission as a genin. No thanks, Kurama. This must be a pitiful existence, just standing around waiting to be of some use to someone. At least while Zetsu's original body was alive they had some free will. Naruto answered. Turning back to the Zetsu clone, Naruto quickly made his mind up on what he would do with the rest. Wait for me upstairs, he ordered. The clone nodded and slowly ascended the spiraling staircase. Once he was gone, Naruto created 3 clones of his own. After I leave, destroy this place so it is never found by anyone. Naruto exited the room, heading back upstairs, and collected his new follower before exiting through the same entrance Naruto had made earlier. They wasted little time in heading back to where the blonde knew Sasuke's dead body lay. He made it around halfway before the memory of his clones bringing the cave down upon themselves and the Zetsu army hit him. The rain was still beating down as hard as ever by the time Naruto arrived in the clearing. All the blood had been washed away from Sasuke's body, giving the final Uchiha the appearance that he was merely sleeping and would awaken at any moment. Naruto quickly shook those thoughts off, as they only proved to make the fact that Naruto had killed his best friend all the more painful. It's time, Naruto, now or never. QB spoke, his powerful voice holding a hint of sympathy for the boy. Right. Naruto agreed, nodding his head. He approached Sasuke, bending down to pick up his katana, the Zetsu clone following closely behind. You can transform into anyone you have touched, right? He queried. The clone nodded in affirmation before Naruto spoke again. Transform into me. Instantly the white plant-like shinobi began to mutate. He became shorter and his skin began to tan. The last thing to change was his eyes, and then Naruto was looking at a carbon copy of himself. Even their chakra signatures matched perfectly. Do it, Naruto. The longer you wait, the harder it will be. Kurama urged the blonde on. Naruto hesitated for one last second, knowing everything he was giving up, before plunging Sasuke's blade into the clone's stomach. Naruto did the deed as quickly and painlessly as he could manage, the blade going up under the ribcage and piercing the heart. He watched, slightly sickened, as blood poured out from his own mouth, and the perfect copy of himself hit the floor, landing perfectly beside Sasuke. Despite Naruto's declaration not to shed any more tears, he couldn't help the one that escaped his eye as he looked down upon the scene. Goodbye, Sasuke. I am sorry that nobody will ever know the role that you played. In the end, you were the one that will bring peace to this ninja world. he said, closing his eyes and taking a deep breath in to help control his emotions before turning to leave, running at full speed from the field of devastation that was once the site of Naruto and Sasuke's final confrontation. So where are we going? Kurama asked after a few moments. I don't know. Naruto admitted, talking inside his head for once. I think I will head north. I heard there was a mountain range at the topmost border of the land of Earth. I guess I will head there. He decided after a few moments. Yes, I know the ones you are talking about. They are supposed to be insurmountable. Rocks are constantly falling from their peaks, causing small pebbles to fall all throughout the country. I believe they call it stone rain. Kyuubi mused. Wow, how do you know so much? Naruto asked in awe. I have been alive for a very long time, Naruto. It is only in my recent history that I have been sealed. If this is your choice of destination, then I agree you will never be found if you make it past the great Iwa mountains. However, that is because nobody has ever survived climbing them. If they were not killed by a landslide or falling rocks, then the freezing cold and thin air near the peaks would finish them off. Kurama warned. Well, then I guess it's a good thing that I have you to watch my back then. Naruto said, believing now more than ever that this was the right decision. Kyuubi chuckled deeply. I guess you are right. I can't have my first friend in well over 200 years dying on the side of a mountain. With that said, it will take several days, even at this speed, just to reach the base of the mountain, and our chakra signature sticks out more than I do when we transform. What are you saying? Naruto asked, not liking where this was going. I'm saying that before we get to the next village you are going to need to start actively suppressing your chakra and presence. We will have to act and travel like civilians until we are far enough north that our presence will go unnoticed. The large fox explained. Naruto groaned. That would turn a week-long trip into a month. But he could not deny Kurama's logic. Alright, at least I have Gamachan full with money so I can pay for transportation and buy supplies. The blonde sighed in reluctant acceptance. Several hours later, this must have been quite some fight. A heavily tanned teen sucking on a lollipop said as he looked around at the scene before him. Large craters scattered the landscape, and all the trees had been burned away to ash that was now soaked into the ground from the falling torrential rain. Have cause it was. This is Naruto we're talking about. That idiot can never do anything without destroying something. A Konoha shinobi riding a large white dog laughed. Kiba, this is hardly the time for jokes. We need to find Naruto and Sasuke. A teen with dark red hair and sea green eyes ordered. Kiba knew better than to argue with the redhead. Sorry, Kazekage-sama. He apologized. Kiba, you may call me Gaara. A friend of Naruto's is a friend of mine. The Kazekage assured the shinobi riding the hound. But Naruto-sama is a hero. Everyone considers him a friend. Does that mean that nobody will call you Kazekage-sama again? What if one day you become offended by such an action and it sparks a war? All of the work done with village relations would be ruined. Oma sighed. The rest of the group looked at the Kumo shinobi as though he had an extra head. Is he being serious? A kunoichi with short dark brown hair and pink eyes without discernible pupils queried. She wore a tight red top with the right arm missing and a miniskirt with a lapel over her right leg. She also wore a standard Iwa flak jacket. I don't know. I would ask him, but if Mei-sama were here I am sure she would scold me for being rude. The final member of the group asked. He was by far the oldest of the group. He had gravity-defying grayish-blue hair and eye patch covering his right eye. A talisman hung from each ear that had the kanji 4 to here inscribed on each. His outfit consisted of a dark green kimono that he wore over striped green shirt and pants. This is no time for joking around. We need to find where Naruto is. That bastard, who does he think he is coming out here alone? Kiba asked as he shouted out in frustration. It wouldn't have been Naruto if he didn't. He was determined to end things with Sasuke on his own terms. Gaara replied. That doesn't mean it wasn't a stupid thing to do. We saw that Uchiha go up against 4 of the Kage. The Iwa kunoichi retorted. Gaara nodded his head in agreement. Naruto is far stubborn not to do something because others consider it stupid, Kuratsuchi. To him Sasuke was like a brother. The older ninja began to grow impatient from the delay in their mission. In my day, ninja would complete their mission before arguing about something so trivial. We don't have time for this. You Inuzuka, can you find the boy's scent? Kiba shook his head in frustration. With all this rain, any trail will be washed away, he admitted, with Akamaru barking in agreement. That makes things slightly harder. Didn't you say you were the best tracker in your age group? Kuratsuchi asked skeptically. I am. But what trails do you expect me to find in this rain? Kiba snapped in reply. We should have brought Kakashi Hatake instead. He would be able to find his pupil. Every village opted to send one shinobi to join the team to bring Naruto back, and Konoha sends you, The one Inuzuka that can't find someone in a desolate area. Kuratsuchi scoffed. Enough! Gaara ordered commandingly. Kiba's caught his tongue as he gulped back his retort. Ao, can you locate Naruto and Sasuke with your Byakugan? Ao nodded once slowly, a thick veins bulged out from under his eye patch. The others waited a few moments while Ao searched the area. I found them, he said, then deactivated his stolen eye. About a mile to the north. They're, not moving, he finished solemnly. Gaara's eyes widened and turned to suggest the head there as a group, but Kiba was already gone, Akamaru bounding across the ashen, crater-filled field that stood before them. Chapter 2, The Fallen Hero. A young man in his mid-teens walked into a village. He looked around expecting to see shopkeepers and civilians running around, but all that he was met with was silence. What's going on here? Naruto asked. His voice seemed to echo back, accenting just how quiet the village was. His feet splashed in a deep puddle as he walked further into the village, evidence of how far the effects of the storm brought about by his fight with Sasuke had traveled. Shinobi were fighting a war. Did you expect the villagers in nearby counties to just sit in their homes and wait for the war to come to them? They left, probably to some shelter set up for refugees. Kurama guessed. Naruto looked at his reflection within a store window. Despite having his wounds healed from his fight with the last Uchiha, he still looked like he had been through a war. I need to get out of these clothes. Do you think they will mind if I just take some supplies and leave money behind? Considering collateral damage in a ninja war is usually high, I am sure the people of this village would be happy if they came home and their homes were still standing. The fox chuckled. Do you think anyone would notice if I used a little chakra to create some clones to gather supplies? The blonde asked as he took out a small saban to pick the lock on a door. This was one of the first lessons Jiraiya had taught him during their training trip, although at the time Jiraiya just wanted to get in the back door of a women-only bathhouse. Kyuubi thought about it for a moment. He was torn between the risk of some joint shinobi scouting team picking up his chakra signature and wanting to move further away from possible detection. Naruto had stopped using chakra a few hours after leaving the dead bodies of Sasuke and his Zetsu clone. Since that time the trip had gone painfully slow. Civilians were slower than even an academy graduate genin, and that showed as it took almost 24 hours just to reach this small village. Alright, but be quick about it, and not more than 3. One of you is enough to arouse suspicion. Kyuubi finally agreed. Naruto nodded and created 3 seal-less clones. We need food, water, and some camping supplies. With the speed we're going, it could be a month before we make it to the land of Earth, and several days before we find a populated village. Oh, and nothing too heavy. I need to act like a civilian after all, Naruto said before handing some money from Gamachan, his trusty toad wallet, to each of the clones before entering the store. What instantly caught Naruto's attention was a dark orange and red armor-plated top. Naruto stopped himself, however. It was not something a civilian would wear after all. Once he was out of the elemental nations, he could indulge in training and all the other activities that ninjas so love to do. Do you think we will find people over those mountains, Kurama? It's hard to say, Naruto. Rikudo-sama never went over them. Maybe once Jubi was gone he was afraid he wouldn't survive. But I doubt he cared about something like that. He probably thought that the elemental nations were large enough. The further you spread yourself, the more difficult your job becomes. Kyuubi spoke wisely. In the end, Naruto picked a plain set of black pants and a white t-shirt that had some orange and black flames at the hem. Into a pack he stored some rather warm-looking thermal jumpers and track pants. Kyuubi might stop him from dying in the cold, but he could still feel it. Naruto left the money on the counter along with a hastily written apology note, being extra careful to make his writing unrecognizable from his normal script. Once outside, he found his clones had already returned, carrying enough food and water to last several weeks and a very large yet compact tent. Naruto stored the supplies into a backpack and dispelled his clones. Okay, no more delays, let's get moving, he said, hoisting his new pack onto his back and casually set off. Only thing guiding him was a vague sense of direction, and Kyuubi scolding him if he ever got turned around. Elsewhere, the joint shinobi headquarters had been extra busy. Shinobi were coming and going delivering reports, and the field hospital was filled to the brim with the injured, including several Kage among them. Despite all the casualties and injured, there was a jovial spirit in the air. The war was over and the villages had never been closer. Old wounds that had divided them seemed so petty now, and they all had a new hero, a young teen from Konoha who had ended the war. Those at headquarters eagerly awaited the blonde's return, so much so that the shinobi currently running each village asked for one volunteer to help retrieve him. In what seemed like a cruel joke of fate, 2 Konoha Chunin sat on guard duty at the entrance to the headquarters. Do you ever feel like we are being punished for something? Kotetsu asked, his head banging on the desk after letting yet another group of shinobi into the large camp. Maybe, but it could be worse. I mean, sure, it's boring, but at least it's safe. Look at the state that the Kages came back and only Kazekage-sama was walking. Still, it was cruel for Kakashi to put us on guard duty. Izumo replied. Maybe he just knows how good we are at it. Kotetsu suggested. No, that can't be it. I could have walked right past you two and entered the camp unnoticed about 20 times by now. A Konoha jounin joked, handing over some papers to get marked. That's cold, Aoba. Izumo sighed. The jounin laughed, pocketing the papers he needed before turning to gaze out into the distance. Still no sign of our local hero, huh? He asked. No, not yet. It's been over a day now. I'm half expecting to see him running up shouting about how he will have to be the next Hokage now. Kotetsu joked, causing the others to laugh, remembering the loud-mouthed little brat that was constantly boasting about how he would be the next Kage of Konoha. Hell, well, everyone is getting eager for his return. Even the shinobi from other villages are planning a surprise party for him. Although I guess you two will be on guard duty. Aoba chuckled. As the Konoha jounin turned to leave, he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. 3 figures slowly approaching. Then a second later, another 2. Hey, it's them! Kazekage-sama and the retrieval team! Kotetsu yelled, standing up. He must have been louder than he thought, because less than a second later shinobi were pouring out from every angle to get a better look. Hey, I don't see anyone that looks like the hero of the elemental nations. I was told he had glorious golden hair and bright blue eyes. A young Kiri Kunoichi said with a slight blush. Obviously she had been listening to stories told about Naruto by several more enamored Konoha genin. Regardless of the young girl's obvious fangirl tendencies, most of the others agreed. It was not until the retrieval team got closer did they realize that the group were surrounding a large hovering stretcher made of sand. Instantly 2 medics shot forward, one with pink hair wearing an all-red outfit and the other a brunette that was followed closely by a small pig. The group watched in wonder as Sakura landed beside the Kazekage. I'm sorry, Sakura, we were too late, he said quietly while Shizen began scanning the 2 bodies for signs of life. A worried murmur swept through the crowd and sadness followed after as Sakura fell to her knees, already lost in sorrow. He lost? One shinobi asked. Impossible, Naruto-sama never loses, a Konoha chunin replied. The group parted as Gaara walked through the gate, and they saw both Naruto and Sasuke lying lifeless on a bed of sand. The Kazekage's face was a mask, but inside he was crying just as heavily as Sakura. The group followed Gaara as he walked, getting larger by the second. Several shinobi openly wept at the sight of Naruto's corpse, while others stayed stoic as a sign of respect for their fallen comrade. Finally Gaara came to the center of the camp. He had spoken here once before to inspire the troops before they went to war. This time he would address them that the war was over. He created a large pedestal and placed Naruto's body atop before moving Sasuke's out of the way. Anger towards the Uchiha clan was at an all-time high, and they didn't need a reminder of who killed Naruto staring them in the face while he spoke. Today marks the end of the 4th Great Shinobi War. Although it was short, it was nevertheless brutal, and we all suffered. Many lost their lives and many more were injured. Yet when things seemed to be at their worst, we pulled together to come out victorious. There was a light smattering of cheering, but it was subdued by the presence of Naruto's body lying on a platform made of sand. All the shinobi that fought remembered how Naruto's clones arrived at the various fronts, and almost single-handedly turned the tide of the war. Gaara took a moment to compose himself before continuing. Despite the joy that has come with defeating the Akatsuki and saving the elemental nations from almost certain destruction, I cannot celebrate. Last night a man I was honored to call a friend fought and died to help bring this world some measure of peace. Naruto Uzumaki will be sorely missed, and I will do everything in my power to make sure his death was not in vain. Gaara spoke. This time the applause was much louder, and so was the crying that was spreading through the amassed shinobi. Naruto was not like other shinobi. He changed people, he changed me. He met me at a time when I was unsure of my purpose in life. I tried so hard to kill him when Suna attacked Konoha. He couldn't help but laugh at the memory of the stupid blonde genin that refused to give up, but then his laugh caught in his throat and he was forced to stifle a sob. But then he did something that changed me. He defeated me, a boy everyone considered a loser defeated Suna's weapon, and then after all that, he called me his friend. The Kazekage choked out the last word as the sand armor around his eyes began to feel damp against his skin. The shinobi below were staring at Gaara, listening with rapt attention to his heartfelt eulogy. For someone as cold and detached as the Kazekage to show any emotion was something else, and it showed what effect Naruto had on the young man from Suna. Pausing one last time to calm himself, Gaara took in a deep breath. He had never found it this difficult to control his emotions before. Naruto was everything that I want to be as a leader and more. He was the best of us," he said before creating a flower made of sand and placing it on his friend's chest. With that done, Gaara disappeared in a swirl of sand, wanting to be alone. At the very back of the army, a hooded figure stood in disbelief. "I came all the way out here to find them, and now they are both dead. Something is wrong here. That body may have the same chakra signature as Naruto, but it doesn't feel right." His chakra was so bright, almost like looking directly into the sun. "This chakra is gray and flat, as lifeless as that body is," the hooded figure thought skeptically before stepping back into the shadows. 2 more sets of eyes looked on, bewildered by what they were seeing, before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Several hours later, Naruto's body still lay atop the pedestal that Gaara had created, but now all around the base flowers and weapons were offered up as a tribute to the blonde. Each village had a different custom and different ways of honoring a fallen comrade, and while the Kumo and Konoha shinobi drank to celebrate the life of the lost one, Iwa shinobi would mourn in silence. Not a peep could be heard from their tents. The Kiri shinobi participated in mock battles that would have once been fights to the death to honor the fallen, and Suna shinobi said prayers in hopes that Naruto's next life would be one of peace. "How did he die?" Kakashi asked, sitting up in his hospital bed. Sakura's eyes were red from crying as she checked over his wounds. "It looks like Sasuke stabbed him in the heart. But we won't know for sure until we can do a proper autopsy," she sobbed. "I see," Kakashi said, his exposed eye drooping. "And Sasuke? Ruptured organs resemble wounds caused by a Rasengan." She cried again, yet no tears would come. Kakashi nodded. "Was this really the only way, Naruto?" he asked, thinking back to the talk they had before Naruto left. Flashback. Naruto stood at the base of Kakashi's bed. The copycat had woken just a few hours earlier after severe chakra exhaustion. "I found Sasuke," Naruto said with a calm sense of determination in his voice. "You did?" Kakashi asked in bewilderment. "Well, actually it was Kurama. I am going to sneak out at sundown and confront him," the blonde replied. "You don't have to do this, Naruto. You told me what you saw would happen if you were to fight Sasuke seriously again," Kakashi said, clearly concerned for his student. "I know, but I'm okay with it. I have been thinking a lot lately about the quest Nagato and Erosenin left for me. I think this is the answer," Naruto replied with a small smile. "How can your death be the answer?" "Don't be foolish, Naruto. Do you know what everyone is saying about you? They call you the hero of the elemental nations. You can bring peace another way," Kakashi whispered, desperately trying to change his student's mind. Naruto smiled affectionately at his sensei but shook his head. "There are 2 things that will lead to peace: understanding each other, and pain. With this war, I think the shinobi of this world are starting to understand one another. But they need something to hold them together once the villages split back up. The memory of a joint loss. They call me the hero of the elemental nations, so my death as a hero will do more good than living as a potential threat in Konoha." Kakashi could understand the boy's reasoning, and as much as he hated it, he was going to accept his choice. "What about becoming a ninja and Kage greater than all the Hokage before him?" he asked, but already knew that Naruto had an answer. Naruto sighed. He knew that leaving would mean that his dream to be Hokage never became a reality. "Erosenin once told me that a ninja is not judged by how he lives, but by how he dies. I think if I can die and bring peace to this ninja world, then I will have accomplished that dream," he said solemnly. "You know, as acting Hokage, I can stop you, right?" Kakashi chuckled, knowing this was probably the last time he would be able to talk to the blonde. "I know, but you won't." Naruto laughed in return. He stopped as he made it to the entrance to Kakashi's tent. "Kakashi-sensei? Yeah, thank you for everything." And flashback. "Sakura, can you get me a new Hittite?" Kakashi said, slowly standing up from his hospital bed. "Kakashi-sensei?" Sakura asked, not sure what his sensei was planning. "I want to give mine to Naruto," he said, grabbing a crutch and hobbling out of his tent. 2 days later. "Kami, this is taking forever. Can I just use a little chakra to go faster?" Naruto begged. "No, you're still well inside the range of the shinobi scouts. Now stop complaining and keep moving," Kurama scolded the boy. "Oh, come on, it's not like anyone will find me if I use Sage Mode," Naruto replied. The blonde was waiting for the tongue lashing from the Kyuubi, but what he wasn't expecting was to be knocked to the ground by a small toad with a rolling pin and frizzy purple hair. "Naruto-chan, what do you think you are doing?" The small toad croaked loudly. "Ma, I'm sure Naruto-chan has his reasons, though I fail to see what they are." A second toad spoke up, this one with bushy gray hair and eyebrows to match. "Fufukusa-sama? Shima-sama?" Naruto gasped, wondering why the 2 elder toad sages were currently standing over him. Hi. Now you got some explaining to do, my boy. Fukusuka said, crossing his arms. You can trick Shinobi, but you can't trick us, Naruto-chan. Your name is still on our summoning wall. Shima added, gripping her rolling pin threateningly. Naruto sighed and began explaining everything that had happened in his fight with Sasuke up to the point he left the clearing. I figured this way the Grand Geezer Toad would still be right. I died in my fight with Sasuke and I can bring peace to the ninja world. He finished as if trying to justify his actions. Stupid boy. Who cares what that senile old coot says? You should be the next Hokage, not on the run trying to avoid detection. Do you know how hard it was to find you? Shima yelled angrily, raising the rolling pin over her head ready to strike, causing Naruto to flinch and cower. Enough, Naruto-chan has made the right decision. Where will you go? Fukusuka asked. He could come live on Mayaboku. If we ever get another summoner, he could help teach them. Only the strongest will do for the toads now after you, Jiraiya-chan, and Minato-chan. Shima said hopefully. Naruto paled, not because the thought of living amongst the toads was unpleasant, no, he would be welcomed with open arms and live out his days in a virtual paradise. But he would never be able to stomach the unique, local food that Shima always insisted on cooking. Sorry, Shima, but even there I could be discovered. I'm going over the insurmountable mountains north of Iwa, out of the elemental nations. Naruto-chan, that's suicide. They are called the insurmountable mountains for a reason. Fukusuka said firmly. Nah, I'll be fine. I have Kurama to watch my back. Naruto said with a smile that seemed to give off a warm sense of confidence. Who? Shima asked. Oh right, the Kyuubi's name is Kurama. He's not a bad guy once you get to know him. The blonde said with his fox-like grin. Really? I guess if anyone can befriend the fox it would have to be you. Good luck, Naruto-chan, and don't hesitate to call on us if you need something. Fukusuka declared. Pa, we can't let him do this. He should be being praised as a hero, not going off to die on the side of some kami-forsaken mountain. Shima yelled. Naruto-chan will not die. I believe in him, and so should you. Your secret is safe with us, Naruto-chan, but remember, no peace lasts forever. A change for the better today could become a noose around the neck tomorrow. With that final warning, Fukusuka and Shima disappeared, leaving Naruto once more alone. I should have known the toads would find me out. Naruto sighed, turning his attention back onto the road. I am more surprised that they were able to find you. Those little toads had more skill than I gave them credit for. Kurama admitted. Yet nothing gets past Fukusuka-sama. His mastery of senjutsu is at such a high level that if he focuses, he can feel life force rather than just chakra. Naruto replied. The talk with the two elder toads had put Naruto in a good mood. It was comforting to know he still had some small part of his old life that he could take with him. He was the holder of the toad's summoning contract after all. Which meant that he could still summon and talk to all the toads he had worked with and come to know over the years. All of a sudden the laborious pace that he was setting no longer seemed to be such a chore. Meanwhile, a hooded figure stood in a large open clearing. All around was burnt and scarred earth. Amazing, this was the result of Naruto and Sasuke's fight? The hooded figure asked themselves while scanning the area. Following the path of destruction led the shinobi to the place the two bodies were found. There has to be some sort of clue here. I don't know who that was back at that shinobi camp, but it wasn't Naruto. I have felt Naruto's chakra and it was completely different. The hooded figure spent hours on end searching high and low for any sign of a chakra trail, or life, only to come up empty. But just as they were giving up hope, a faint chakra signature so dull it more than likely only residual chakra left within a dying body. That was not what made the hooded figure excited, however. It was how the chakra felt, gray and lifeless, just like the body of Naruto that the Kazekage had. The shinobi thought, taking off at full pace in the direction of the chakra signature. The shinobi jumped from tree to tree before they came to an area that looked as though it had been disturbed recently. Fallen trees scattered across the ground and the soil was uneven and loose like rubble. It was around here, I am sure of it, the shinobi said to themselves before scanning once more for chakra signatures. It's underground. Anticipation was building. Every time the shinobi removed a stone, the prospect of discovering the truth seemed a little closer. The problem was, even for a shinobi, unless they have a Doton affinity, digging half a mile underground is going to take a considerable amount of time. Hours passed like minutes as the shinobi continued to dig deeper into the earth. But finally the persistence paid off. A pale white arm came limply into view. The shinobi was so tired from digging it took a few minutes to fully realize what they had found. It can't be pulling back some strands of deep red hair that fell from the hood of the cloak. The shinobi continued to dig until the head that belonged to the arm was revealed. Zetsu. So that's how you did it. You're alive, Naruto, and I am going to find you. Chapter 3. Keep moving. Several weeks had passed since Naruto's supposed death at the hands of Sasuke Uchiha. His body had been moved after the first night so the medics could perform an autopsy and give a definitive cause of death. However, in place of Naruto's body, Gaara had constructed a sand statue of the blonde, and shinobi were still constantly coming up to pay their respects, leaving Hatayate following the lead of Kakashi Hatake, or other symbols of respect. Naruto had saved many lives with the help of Kurama, and many wanted to show their appreciation. For them, this was the least they could do. Little did they know the same boy they were mourning as a fallen hero was currently not only alive but having a heated discussion with his inner beast. I'm telling you, everyone will be at the headquarters until all the Kage are recovered from their fight with that Edo Tensei Madara. We are far from anyone. I should be able to use a little chakra to help me get to a populated village. I'm running out of food. I only have 4 packets of ramen left. The boy thought out loud. While there was nobody around, Naruto didn't mind talking to his partner, as if he was sitting beside him. I keep telling you that it will not only be the Alliance ninja on the lookout for stray shinobi. Lesser villages will see this as a chance to strengthen themselves. If your plan fails and the great shinobi villages do not come together, as you hope, then the world will descend into another war for power. No more Jinchuriki gives the smaller villages less to fear. It would not surprise me if they target one of the great nations in an attempt to seize power. Kurama reasoned. But why does that matter? We can defeat anyone that we come across. Naruto whined in frustration. The last few weeks had been the hardest he'd had since before he was a genin. Naruto, don't be a fool. You might be strong, but that doesn't mean you are invincible. Although with my help we are pretty damn close. Kurama said, finishing with a confident smirk. You agreed that this was the best way. Now stop acting like a broken record and keep walking. We can't be far from the land of Earth now. Once we're there we should be able to find a faster way to travel. And just think of what would happen if you drew on my chakra. A decent sensory ninja could still find us as we are if they were looking hard enough, and drawing on my chakra would be like lighting a come and get me signal. The fox continued. Ga, I think I liked you better when you were trying to ruin all my plans. Naruto pouted, knowing that the bijou was right. Deciding to once more give up on arguing to the ever-present voice of reason in his head, Naruto continued to run at what was the pace of an average civilian, or a very slow genin. You know, I enjoyed that too. Let's do it again sometime. Kyuubi chuckled, causing Naruto to fall over in shock that the great Kyuubi actually made a joke. Meanwhile, unknown to Kurama and Naruto, there was indeed a very talented sensory tracker on their trail, although for the last few weeks all leads they had followed had come up empty. This is the last village in the area. If he didn't stop here, then he would have run out of food. A hooded ninja spoke, taking out a map that had several points marked with red pins indicating villages that had no signs of Naruto's presence. Still nothing. The hooded ninja sighed in frustration as they moved through the village. Maybe I should just give up, the figure said, coming to a halt, removing the hood to reveal a kunoichi with dark blood-red hair that was well-groomed on one side and rather messy on the other. She had a pair of glasses over ruby-red eyes. No, I can't give up. If I give up, I'm doomed. I'm the last member of the Akatsuki after all. If anyone finds me, I'm dead. That's why I need to find Naruto. If I can convince him to forgive me, then he can tell everyone and I can live a normal life. She decided with confidence. Her confidence was short-lived, however, as a new stumbling block occurred. But he faked his own death. What am I supposed to tell people? Your hero forgave me and I never meant any harm in the first place. I was just led along by Sasuke-kun. Even I don't believe that one, she yelled in frustration, rubbing a hand through the messy side of her hair in frustration. This is all ruining my plan. I wanted to find Naruto before he fought with Sasuke-kun to help him. Then I would have been considered an ally rather than an escaped prisoner of war. Little did the kunoichi know there were several pairs of eyes watching her. And she was in for quite a shock when a young boy around 6 walked out from a dark alleyway. You sure do talk to yourself a lot, lady, the boy said. He was short and had messy brown hair that ran down to his shoulders as though it hadn't been cut in months, and he wore dark blue shorts and a red top that had a yin-yang symbol on the back. Karin jumped, drawing a kunai and completely astounded that she had let someone sneak up on her. At the sight of the kunai, the kid yelped, and a middle-aged woman and man ran out from a different hiding location and covered their son, a look of terror on their faces. We're sorry, please forgive our son Kunoichi-sama, the woman begged. She had long brown hair the same color as her son's and dark green eyes that were almost black. Her husband had black spiky hair and a scraggy beard to match. Both parents wore brown tops and pants that helped them blend in with the buildings and remain hidden. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to frighten you. I'm just not used to being startled like that. Please call me Karin. the red-haired kunoichi said, breathing out a sigh of relief that they were only civilians. Well, Karin, I am Yuzumo, and my wife's name is Kara. This is our son Yuzuka. We would feel a little more comfortable if you would put the knife away. The husband said slowly. Knife? Oh, the kunai? These two mustn't have had much contact with shinobi in their life. Karin realized, returning the blade to its pouch. There we go, better? Much. Yuzumo nodded, finally standing along with his wife. What brings you out here, Karin? It's been days since one of your ninja scouting teams came this way. Kara questioned, still slightly shaken up at the sight of the kunoichi drawing her blade. I'm looking for someone, Karin answered. But I think the trail's gone cold, she admitted. That is always the risk in war. It's a horrible thing that only takes lives long before their time. Who are you looking for? A loved one? Yuzumo asked. No, nothing like that. I am just searching for someone that can save my life, Karin admitted. Save your life? You don't look sick, the young boy said with a puzzled look on his face. And fortunately I am not, but you see, a while back I did some things for a man that I thought I loved. Looking back at them now, I am not very proud of what I have done, and because of that, should the wrong people find me, I will be killed, Karin admitted sadly. Once more the parents became rather suspicious of the kunoichi, but they took her remorse as genuine, and knew that love made people do crazy things. Love makes fools of us all, dear. But how can finding this person help you? Kara queried. Well, the thing is, the person I am looking for is considered a great hero now. One word from him and I can be spared. The thing is, I have no idea where he is. This was my last hope. Karin sighed, lowering her head. A few people have come through here. We stayed behind when the rest of the village fled, so anyone who has come into town I have watched. I'm a great sneaker, so I have been watching them, hoping to see some cool ninja stuff. Most people have been really boring though, the small boy admitted. A glimmer of hope, Karin raised her head and looked at the boy expectantly. I'm looking for a boy around my age with spiky blonde hair and blue eyes. He would have 3 thin whisker-like marks on each cheek, she said, trying to recall the blonde she met the day Sasuke had almost killed her. Oh yeah, I saw him. He talked to himself a lot as well, but he was even weirder. He kept asking questions, then acting like he was given an answer. It was like he was talking to someone that wasn't even there. I wanted to yell at him for breaking into several of the stores, but Kasan stopped me, Yuzuka replied with a smile. You did? Did he say anything about where he was going? Karin asked urgently. Please know something. I think he said something about the land of earth and some mountains. I was distracted because he did this awesome thing where he created copies of himself and sent them around the village to collect equipment, the boy said, eagerly, happy that he was able to help. Karin's eyes widened. She had a lead, and a good one. If she could get close enough to him, there was no hiding a chakra like Naruto's from her. How long ago was he here? She asked, wanting to gauge how far behind she was. He was here about 2 weeks ago, give or take a day or two, Kara answered for her son, who was busy trying to count the days on his hands. Karin nodded. Thank you, I have to go. Please don't tell anyone that you saw me, she said, and just like that she was gone, her hood back up and sprinting at full speed through the village. 2 weeks, I am pretty far behind, but he can't be moving too fast, otherwise I would have picked up on a chakra trail. That said, I need to hurry. This is my only hope of leading a normal life without looking over my shoulder constantly in fear. Land of Lightning. The Joint Shinobi Task Force headquarters had been growing steadily over the past few days. More and more wounded were still arriving, along with the dead. Bodies were slowly being separated in order to be returned to their respective villages, and all names were taken down in plans of a memorial that would be raised in the Land of Iron to commemorate the fallen. All of this meant that the medic ninja were still far more busy than all the others put together. Some more so than others. Shizen and Sakura, who were left in charge of the field hospital as Tsunade's apprentices, were constantly running from one bed to another, helping out and instructing other medics of their duty. Sakura had not slept in days. Every time she closed her eyes, all she saw was the scene of Gaara leading the funeral procession and the lifeless corpses of Naruto and Sasuke. She had wanted to do the autopsy personally, but Shizen denied her request, saying that they were both emotionally compromised, which meant that mistakes could be made. In the end, they left the autopsy to medics from Suna and Kumo. The report was fairly straightforward. Sasuke was killed by a jutsu of high destructive power that ruptured several organs and rearranged them at the same time. For Sakura, that only meant one thing: Rasengan. And Naruto had been killed by a blade traveling through his heart and lungs, causing almost instant death. They both said it on the river that day when I failed to kill Sasuke-kun. If they fought again, they would both die. This is my fault. Why did I have to be so weak? The pink-haired medic thought as tears threatened to fall from her face once more. You know Naruto wouldn't want to see you crying. A lazy, almost bored voice traveled across the tent. Sakura turned to see Shikamaru enter the tent, a cigarette in his mouth but not lit. I can't help it. If I had been stronger, then Naruto wouldn't have died. Sakura wept. Shikamaru sighed, folding his arms behind his head as he walked into the room. Maybe, but then maybe Naruto needed Sasuke. They each became stronger to prove they were better than the other. If you had killed him, then Naruto may have died in the war anyway, or maybe when he was fighting Kyuubi for control of its chakra. It's too troublesome to say, Shikamaru sighed. So you're saying the fact they are both dead is a good thing? Sakura spat. Hardly. Naruto was one of my best friends. But look at it this way, it was Naruto's choice to fight Sasuke alone, and he knew the most likely outcome was that they would both die. In spite of that, he went out and did what he thought was right, and if that means that he died, then I respect him all the more for it. Shikamaru said. If? What do you mean if he died? You have seen the body. Sakura said, her eyes red from the tears. Shikamaru shrugged. It just seems rather weird that Naruto would be killed by a sword. From what I had seen, there was no way Kyuubi would let Naruto die like that. But maybe I'm wrong, it's far too troublesome to argue with a dead body. He sighed, pausing for a moment to light up his smoke. Well, what's the alternative? Naruto has abandoned Konoha? Sakura scoffed, knowing Naruto far too well to ever think he would do something like that. It's possible. Naruto is not as dumb as most people tend to believe. He always had a way to win no matter the odds, and then always seemed to bring people closer together. His death is no exception. Representatives from each of the villages are coming together in hopes of extending the alliance in Naruto's honor. If he thought his death could bring happiness to the world, he may have welcomed it, faking his death and going on the run. At least that is what I choose to believe. Maybe I am just in denial, Shikamaru said before walking past Sakura, who stood stunned, and heading to check on Choji, who was suffering from chakra exhaustion but was otherwise healthy in comparison to many occupants of Sakura's medical tent. Sakura stood unmoving for a few moments. Shikamaru had always been the smartest person she knew, but what he was saying was absurd. There were no signs of a trail leading away from the site that Naruto and Sasuke had been found, and only 2 bodies. Shaking off the lazy genius's theory, she decided that she would go see the last person to talk to Naruto alive, her sensei. Kakashi had been allowed to leave the medical tents and was currently in command of the Konoha shinobi as acting Hokage. This was not all that difficult as a job, but Kakashi was not overly fond of receiving constant updates from shinobi doing mundane missions or making small decisions that he really didn't care about, like where the Inuzuka would keep their dogs, as they were not allowed in the shinobi tents. Kakashi-sensei! Sakura yelled to get the copycat ninja's attention. Kakashi turned, giving his best eye smile at the same time. Yo! He said with a small wave as Sakura came to a halt in front of the temporary Hokage. Is there any news on Tsunade-sama's condition? He asked, becoming quite serious. Sakura's face dropped, and she shook her head. No, she's still in a coma. The length of time she needed to use her creation rebirth seal for such a long time against the Edo Tensei Madara that we can't say for sure if she will ever wake up. She admitted sadly. I see. I was hoping she would be awake before the daimyo from each country get here for official peace talks. The Kages are all required to attend, which has some of the villages in a strife. Oanoki and A didn't survive the war, and they need a new Tsuchikage and Reikage. Kakashi sighed, shaking his head. The 3 eldest Kage would not be available to take part in any peace talks, and that would mean that Mei and Gaara were the longest-serving Kage. Fortunately, Mifune from the Land of Iron was in perfect health and willing to oversee the discussions in hopes that the great nations could come to an agreement. I heard that the Hachibi Jinchuriki was selected as the next Reikage, Sakura said. Kakashi nodded in agreement. Yes, he was. He is a promising choice. He shares Naruto's desire to see peace in this world. But IWA have yet to decide on its Tsuchikage. Oanoki was in charge longer than most of them had been alive, so I believe that they will wait for their daimyo to have the last word. I just hope whoever is put in charge won't be difficult to work with if I am stuck as Hokage, he said, chuckling lightly at the end while hoping silently that Tsunade would wake up and save him from a life of responsibility that he did not want anymore. Actually, sensei, I wanted to talk to you about Naruto. I was just talking to Shikamaru, and he said some things that have me thinking. Sakura admitted, looking at her feet to avoid the look of sadness she knew would have crossed her sensei's face. What did he say? Kakashi asked calmly. He did not mind talking about Naruto. He was sad he had lost his pupil, but he was also so proud of the boy for everything he achieved, against all the adversity he had come across. In Kakashi's eyes, Naruto had accomplished more than he ever would. He finally understood why Jiraiya thought of himself as a failure. Both of their failures seemed so large when compared to successes. He said that Naruto's death didn't make any sense. Kyuubi would have stopped him dying from a sword wound. And then I thought about it. When Naruto fought Orochimaru, he attempted to kill him with that sword of his, Kusanagi, but it couldn't pierce Kyuubi's chakra cloak. Sakura paused for a moment, making sure she stayed strong. Then he questioned if Naruto didn't let himself be killed, or even fake his death. Kakashi nodded. Yes, Sakura, that is possible, he admitted. He took a moment to gauge his last remaining pupil before continuing. Naruto has always tried to keep every promise he has made. He has made some rather big ones, but always done his best to bring them about. He saved Konoha and my life when he was fighting Nagato by promising to bring peace to the world. His death was the answer. He left to fight Sasuke not only knowing that he might die but ready to embrace it. If things did not go as planned, he could have found a way to fake his death and flee. He reasoned, although he did not believe it to be true. But then we should look for him, Sakura shouted, startling some nearby Kiri shinobi. Kakashi shook his head. This was Naruto's choice. If he is dead, then I am willing to accept that. But if he is alive, I will happily welcome him back should he ever decide to return. He thought this was how he could bring peace to the world, and if he is right, then who am I to mess with his plan? He said calmly. Sakura found this rather hard to accept. For her it sounded as though Kakashi was giving up on Naruto and letting him get away. And what if that baka is wrong? Then it is up to us to make sure he isn't. It was not Kakashi's voice that answered the pink-haired Kunoichi, but that of Gaara. Kazekage-sama. I didn't see you there, Sakura admitted with a small bow. That is an interesting theory you have, one that I would welcome. However, just like Kakashi, I agree that Naruto should be left alone. Alive or dead, he has done his duty for the elemental nations and now deserves a rest. Gaara said. Kazekage-sama, it is good to see you again, Kakashi said, happy that Gaara had come to his aid. I believe, if I am not mistaken, you are Hokage now. We share a rank of equal importance. Also, please call me Gaara, the Kazekage said kindly, yet in his constant monotone. Anyway, if you would excuse us, Sakura, I have things to discuss with the acting Hokage, he finished. Sakura nodded and turned to leave, still not sure about what to think. She had seen Naruto's body with her own eyes, but then again she had seen many things over the last few weeks that defied logic. Naruto, if you are alive, I am going to kill you myself for this. 2 days later, Naruto had officially run out of food the night before. Fortunately, he had the skills to set a trap and caught himself some food. Still, the wild rabbit he had captured did not have a lot of meat on its bones. Kami, I would sell a tael worth of your chakra for a bowl of Ichiraku ramen, the blonde wailed as he followed an abandoned road. He had entered the land of Earth earlier that day but had yet to come across even a small town. That's ironic, because I would sell a tael worth of my chakra for you to stop complaining all the time, Kyuubi replied. Sure, but that would only solve your problem. If I had ramen, we would both be happy. Naruto pouted before laughing along with his bijou. They walked a bit further in quiet before something caught his eye, a tall red tower poking up above the trees in the distance. After another minute, a second could be seen. Sweet Kami, it's a village, Naruto practically shouted, picking up the pace as much as he could without giving away any ninja training. The blonde Jinchuriki arrived at a small closed gate. Outside, 2 village guards stood in battle armor. Slowing down to a walk, Naruto began to wonder if this wasn't a bad idea. He had no identification papers. Hold it, one of the guards said, forcing Naruto to come to a halt. State your business here. The land of Earth is currently at war. Naruto had to think quickly, not his best trait. Tell them you're a refugee from one of the countries affected by the war, Kurama quickly suggested, knowing Naruto's weakness for coming up with a lie on the spot. I'm a refugee from the border of the Land of Sound. I have been coming to the Land of Earth to stay with some relatives until I can get back on my feet, Naruto declared. One of the other guards leaned in and whispered something to the man that Naruto guessed was in charge. Very well, as a refugee I'll allow you to enter, but you need to enter your name down on this form and pay 1,000 ryo, the leader of the guards declared. This is a scam. I bet I don't need to pay anything, you can see it painted all over their faces. Naruto thought angrily. I know, but perhaps you should simply pay them. If you need more money later, you can summon one of the toads to help you out. Kurama interjected to prevent Naruto from giving himself away. That almost cleans me out, but I need to get in to find passage north to my relatives, Naruto lied, handing the money over to the man in charge. He then picked up a pen and scribbled a fake name before entering into the village. The first thing Naruto noticed was that the people seemed to be few and far between, and the ones that were out and about moved about as quickly as they could manage. They must be afraid that the war will come this way. Naruto reasoned. Maybe. I am sure that most of the countries involved have been given word that the war is over. But it is possible that a small village such as this one would not have received any news from the war as of yet. Kurama suggested. So what's the plan then? Naruto asked. In and out as quickly as we can. Go buy some supplies just in case we have to walk. Then check out all the local caravans, and pay one for transport north. The Kyuubi answered calmly. Naruto nodded and went to work determined to get as much supplies as he could realistically carry without drawing attention to himself. The prices were very expensive, but Naruto didn't complain. He had just guessed that they were doing their best in a time of uncertainty, and knew that being a village close to the border of the land of Earth had a high likelihood of being attacked should the war have come this way. Wasting no time, Naruto found a large general store to resupply his food. Much to the ire of Kurama, Naruto insisted on a large quantity of ramen. The large fox would have tried to force Naruto to buy some more food that would have been substantially better for the blonde, but figured that once they made it over the mountains at the top of the land of Earth, he may never eat his precious noodle broth again. Once the food was collected, Naruto was ready to leave. The longer he stayed in one spot, the more likely it would be that he was discovered by some IWA ninja, maybe returning home from the war. It was quite fortunate that the people were more than helpful in this regard. An elderly woman directed Naruto towards an area of the town where she knew a group of traveling businessmen heading north were gathered. Excuse me, I was wondering how far north this caravan is traveling? Naruto asked a tall bald man once he arrived at the place he had been directed. The bald man turned around and cast a doubtful eye over the blonde. We travel as far north as we feel is necessary to sell our wares, he said firmly. Naruto nodded. In that case, could I barter passage north on your caravan? I am willing to both pay for the ride and work if needed. I'm far stronger than I look, believe it. Why do you want to go north anyway? The bomb man asked, contemplating Naruto's request. I'm heading north to stay with some relatives. My home was destroyed in the war. Naruto lied quite convincingly. Show me the money, 500 ryo, and I will take you as far as I go. The caravan owner said. Naruto pulled out half and handed it to the man. Half now and half when we part ways, the blonde said, not wanting to be tricked by the man. The bald man laughed a hearty laugh and patted Naruto on the shoulder. You're a businessman, I see. I like that. The name's Asahi. Ruto-ike's, Naruto replied using the fake name he placed on the gate guard's form. Well then, Ruto, get to work and help me pack. The sooner we leave, the sooner you get to where you're going and I get paid, Asahi declared, clapping Naruto on the back with surprising strength. Chapter 4. An Unwanted Companion. In the land of lightning, the ninja of the great nations had begun returning to their respective villages. The injured were the first to go, taken back along with medical officers. Of those that remained were the generals, Kage, and top-ranking shinobi of each division. For the last few days, these shinobi had been in almost constant meetings discussing a possible permanent alliance. These talks had been stalled by several key reasons. Most notably Iwa's failure to appoint a new Tsuchikage after the loss of Oenoki in the war. Because of this, IWA had been sending several candidates to these meetings, each with varying levels of cooperativeness. If Kakashi and the other Kage had the choice, they would have picked Oenoki's son, Kitsuchi, for the next Tsuchikage. He was a general during the war in charge of one of the close-range divisions of shinobi. He was also rather supportive of the idea that a permanent alliance was possible. Several of the other candidates were firmly against the idea, with one particular taking the information. The Naruto Uzumaki, the boy the people from IWA were still calling a hero, was in fact the son of Minato Namikaze, quite poorly. Many were of the opinion that Naruto's actions in the war more than justified his status as a hero, whether they were saying this in an attempt to shore up votes from Iwa's Jounin, or if they truly believed this. Kakashi and the other Kage didn't know. If we put IWA out of the discussions for the time being, I think it would be wise to discuss how a potential alliance would work. A loose-standing association will only work to a certain degree. Cooperation and interaction between villages will be necessary to maintain close bonds and assure old wounds do not reopen. Mei spoke at the start of their latest meeting. We have the Chunin exams. Over the past years, very few, if any, shinobi from rival villages would compete in the other nations' exams, with only Suna and Konoha regularly competing against each other. This promotes competition and friendship between villages, Gaara suggested. I agree that it's a good starting point, but to make our alliance stronger, we each should be able to contribute in some way in terms of aiding the other villages' shinobi. Konoha has the best medics. We could offer training to the other villages, Kakashi added. Yokumo agrees. We can train other shinobi, just like I did the boyo from the trees. The new rakeage and constantly rapping Killer Bee added. Suna's use of chakra strings and puppetry is unmatched, Gaara offered. As is Kiri's kenjutsu, Our swordsmen are legendary after all. Mei finished with a smug smile. Mifune, the leader of the samurai from the Land of Iron, was ever present at these meetings and assured the ninja that should they be able to come to an agreement, then his country would join the others in the alliance. Our weapon and armor forging would be an asset, and if IWA consent, the rare minerals from the Land of Earth would be perfect to keep all of our soldiers supplied with the highest quality equipment. Mifune suggested. Once again the IWA delegation struggled to come to an agreement on whether they should agree to the request. Who will be in charge of this so-called alliance? Our authority as Kage should not be reduced at all. A tall bearded man who stood almost twice as tall as Gaara asked. Once more Mifune decided to act as a voice of reason. Greed had been a major player in the relationships between the great nations in the past, and he did not want this to become the point that prevented a lasting peace to occur. I propose all Kage retain absolute power within their village with a rotation of alliance commander that will change between the villages after a set period of time. For once not a single person could find an issue with the samurai leader's compromise. Land of Earth. Naruto let out a low sigh as he looked off into the distance back along the road he was traveling. Asahi's caravan was drawn by 2 spotted white horses and had a tall arching roof of blue canvas for shelter from rain. This isn't much faster than I was traveling before, he thought in reluctant acceptance of his fate. Being a dead man was far more difficult than he had expected. Naruto's attention turned to the rocky mountain ridges that scattered the landscape of the Land of Earth. Like Konoha's forests, Naruto assumed that the mountains were great assets to the ninja from IWA. Konoha ninja were in their element hiding in the trees, and he was sure IWA shinobi would be quite formidable in this terrain. You seem a little distracted, Naruto. Is something wrong? Asahi asked from the front of the caravan. Naruto was startled. He didn't expect the middle-aged man to have picked up on his frustration. Oh, it's nothing really, he protested. I guess this way of travel is a little slow when you're a ninja, isn't it? Asahi replied, eyeing the blonde. Busted, but how? Naruto thought, looking around as if hoping that there was some other passenger that the middle-aged man may have been talking to. I may not look it, but I was a shinobi once as well. I can tell when I have a trained ninja in my cart. Although I would say you have not done much undercover work, you can suppress your chakra well enough. But the way you hold your body, and are constantly checking your blind spots, are dead giveaways. The caravan owner interrupted. When did you find out? Naruto asked, a defeated expression passing across his face. When? The moment I saw you I knew you were trained. So what rank? You're certainly no Black Ops Umbu, and they are the only ninjas sent out on solo missions. At least that was the case when I was a ninja. I'm guessing you went rogue? Asahi assumed. I'm a genin. And yes, I guess you could say I'm a missing ninja now. I faked my death because I'm of more use to everyone dead than alive. As long as everyone thinks I'm dead, my village has a chance for some real peace. Naruto admitted. That's quite a lot of responsibility to put on a genin. Are you sure you're not overstating things? Asahi asked calmly. Maybe, but either way you look at it, losing one genin isn't the end of the world. Naruto replied. He may not be able to hide the fact he was a shinobi from the caravan owner, but he sure wouldn't be giving up the fact that he was a Jinchuriki. I guess that's true. Anyway, boy, your secret is safe with me. I opted out at the end of the Third Great Shinobi War. Who am I to give up someone who chose the same path as I did? Asahi replied. You faked your death? Naruto asked, becoming more interested in the bald man. No need, I was Umbu. Any Umbu ninja that doesn't return is considered dead unless confirmed otherwise. At the time I was one of the best IWA had to offer. Asahi said confidently, his chest puffing out almost gloatingly as he talked about himself. Then what happened? Naruto asked. Asahi laughed a hollow laugh and shook his head. The war happened. I was given a mission that in the end I just couldn't do. So I opted out. Naruto was confused. Umbu were considered the most loyal ninja in their respective villages. Each one was expected to be able to kill on command and accept any mission without question, no matter how difficult or suicidal it may be. You chicken out? Naruto asked. You could say that. I would say, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself had I gone through with it. Asahi replied. What was the mission? Naruto had to ask. His interest had been piqued. IWA wanted a distraction that would keep a large group of Konoha shinobi occupied long enough for a team to slip past, and the attack a key structure being held close to the northern border of the Land of Fire. I accepted without hesitation, of course, but when I arrived at my destination I found a small civilian village. No shinobi, these people couldn't even defend themselves from bandits, let alone a fully trained ninja. But my orders were clear, destroy target leaving no survivors. This was the distraction they wanted. I kill a bunch of civilians, luring the enemy away from their posts. Asahi explained, suddenly looking far older than he had just moments earlier. But you couldn't do it? Naruto finished for him. I was faced with a dilemma. If I didn't follow my orders, I would have been executed for defying orders in a time of war. But if I did, I would have been committing a crime far worse than anything I had seen done before. I broke down, froze, unable to move. I don't know how long I stayed just staring at the village. It could have been days for all I know. Eventually a young girl from the village found me and brought me into her home. I then made up my mind. I couldn't kill these people, so like the coward I am, I fled, vowing to never again bring harm to anyone. Asahi finished. What about the attack on the Konoha ninja? Naruto asked. It never went ahead. The war had all but ended the day before without my knowledge, when the future Yondaime Hokage destroyed the main supply bridge and single-handedly routed a battalion of Iwa's army. Naruto sighed. On the one hand, he was glad that the man had disobeyed his orders, but on the other he was saddened that he had been forced to give up his life and disappear. Naruto was doing it out of choice, but Asahi was forced to choose between two horrible outcomes. However Naruto looked at it, the situation the caravan owner had been in had no happy endings. Compared to this guy, I have it easy. All I had to give up was becoming Hokage. Naruto realized. What about all of your friends? The life you had in Konoha? You are underselling what you are losing by taking this course of action. Kurama interjected. Well, maybe. But should I choose to, I can return to Konoha. Asahi can never go back to Iwa. Naruto replied. That may be, but by the sounds of it he has chosen a new life. He seems rather content to me. I sense no negative emotions coming from him. The fox assured the blonde. Yeah, I guess this guy is proof that there is life after being a ninja. Who knows, maybe I'll get over the mountains, find a girl, settle down, and be able to raise a family of my own. That sounds like a nice life to me. What was it Shikamaru always said? Find a nice girl who's not too pretty yet not hard on the eyes, have 2 children, and boy and a girl. Hell, if I'm really lucky I'll find someone strong like Kasan. If that was Shikamaru's plan, it has to be a good one. Naruto smiled. You have to get a kiss before you can even think about any of that. So far your only experience is with Sasuke. Kurama chuckled, causing Naruto to facepalm. Why do you have to keep bringing that up? Naruto whined. I don't have a lot going on, the fox said with a rather large grin. I've let you out of the cage, so you can roam around my mind. Hell, you can even change the mindscape to your liking now, so you have aloe. Naruto stopped mid-thought when he saw something move out of the corner of his eye. We're being followed. Naruto whispered so only he could hear. Are you sure? I cannot sense anything. Kurama asked. Positive. I saw the corner of a black cloak disappear behind one of the larger rocks. Naruto answered in a businesslike manner. Then the question is why? Your chakra is completely suppressed. I'm even restricting my chakra flow. Kurama mused. Maybe they are not after us but Asahi? He will be a wanted man in this country. Maybe it's someone that recognizes him. Naruto thought solemnly. Either way, we can't let whoever it is report our location, he decided. That is true. I cannot sense any ninja in the area, or at least I cannot feel any negative emotions. It may be safe to use some chakra. After fighting Madara and his little pet Uchiha, whoever is following us should be no problem. Kurama smirked. Alright. Hey Asahi, how far are we from the next town? Naruto asked, preparing to stop suppressing his chakra as long as he was far enough away from possible detection. It will be close to dusk before we reach another settlement. The caravan owner answered. In that case, I'll catch up to you in a little while. There is something I need to do. Naruto spoke, not wanting to scare the man into thinking that his secret may have been discovered. Standing up in the back of the covered wagon, Naruto hopped out onto the road and waited for Asahi to be a fair distance away. Come out, I know you have been following the old man's wagon. What do you want? The blonde asked loudly as he allowed his chakra to once more flow freely. Karin couldn't help but gasp as Naruto's chakra came bubbling to the surface. Amazing, it's so bright. Far brighter than I ever remembered. Even when it was suppressed, his chakra was like a beacon in the dark, but now it's more like the sun shining brightly, spreading its light over hundreds of miles. She thought in awe, trying to gather her composure. She had spent so long now searching for the blonde that was now standing before her in the middle of a large winding road wrapping around the side of a mountain. But now she found him. She had no idea what she was supposed to do. You're not fooling me. I may not be able to sense your chakra, but I know you're out there. Naruto yelled assertively. Slowly Karin appeared from behind a row of tall rocks that had lined the side of the road. Her hood was up to hide her face. She had no idea how Naruto would react to seeing her. Okay, you got me, she said, using a small amount of chakra to disguise her voice. hoping to assure Naruto that she meant him no harm before revealing herself. "Why are you following the old man's caravan?" Naruto asked calmly. "I'm looking for a Konoha ninja," Karin admitted. "You're a long way from the land of fire. You will have more luck going back in the other direction." "What's this ninja's name?" The blonde shinobi replied, already knowing the answer. "I'm looking for Naruto Uzumaki," Karin answered. "I heard he died. Maybe you should go ask at Konoha." "Why are you looking for him anyway?" Naruto pressed. He was already sure that his cover was blown, but on the off chance that this person sis not know that he was Naruto, he was not going to make it easy for them. "I know for a fact that Naruto is not dead, and he is the only person that can give me my life back," Karin said, removing her hood. Naruto's eyes widened and Kyuubi released a small growl in Naruto's mind. Plausible threat or not, this was someone who worked with the Akatsuki and therefore not to be trusted. "I know you. You were locked up in Konoha before the start of the war. You were a Sasuke's girlfriend or something." Karin blushed at the thought, but only for an instant. "I was his censor and medic, not his girlfriend." "And you can drop the act? I know who you are, Naruto." "Censor, huh? Well, that explains why you were able to find me. Now, all I need to know is how, so I can prevent being found again in the future," Naruto said, dismissing why Karin was there completely. "How? I can see your chakra from miles away. It was like a come and find me flashing light." "I could sense your chakra from 50 miles away," Karin scoffed. "Impossible, I had my chakra suppressed," Naruto said. "Well, I'm no normal sensory ninja. Why else would Orochimaru and Sasuke-kun keep me around?" Karin said, attempting to make her seem like a victim. I guess that makes sense. You do seem to be less, experimented on than most of Orochimaru's subjects I met." Naruto agreed. "Just as I thought. He's a big softy. Just give him a sob story and he will help me for sure," Karin thought. "That's right. Orochimaru made me locate unique chakra signatures and then forced me to run his experiments," she sobbed, pausing at several moments for emphasis. "And then, after Orochimaru died and I thought I was free, Sasuke-kun took me and had me hunt down his brother," she continued. Naruto couldn't help but feel somewhat sorry for the kunoichi despite Kurama's silent protests in his mind that she was trying to manipulate him. "It makes sense. I always wondered how Sasuke was ever to locate someone like Itachi when Konoha Shinobi had been trying for years." "Fool, she's trying to make you feel sorry for her by giving you some bullshit story. Just get rid of her already," the Kyuubi retorted. Naruto knew better than to argue with Kurama when it came to negative emotions, so in the end he remained unmoved. "Get to the point. What do you want? What happened?" "I had him eating out of the palm of my hand just a second ago, and then he just went blank," Karin lamented. Her tears instantly dried up once she discovered it wasn't going to work. "Fine, I want you to forgive me for helping Sasuke-kun. I thought I loved him, so I followed what he asked me to do blindly. I have caused so much damage, and I want you to know that I am sorry," she admitted honestly. Naruto was confused that anyone would go through all the effort to track him down just to say that, but just shrugged it off. "Yeah, okay, I forgive you. If you went through all that just to track me down just to say that, you must be telling the truth, so why not?" Naruto replied nonchalantly. "You do? Oh, thank Kami," Karin said with a smile. Naruto rubbed the back of his head, not really understanding just why this meant so much to the red-haired kunoichi. "Yeah, you're forgiven. Now if you will excuse me, I have places to be." And with that Naruto turned to leave. "Wait, you can't go. I need you to tell everyone that you forgive me," Karin said urgently. "Well, you see, now we have a problem. If you're not aware, I'm supposed to be dead. It wouldn't be good for maintaining my reputation as being dead if I go around telling people that I forgive a member of the very same organization that killed me." "Sorry, I couldn't help," Naruto said, waving farewell to the kunoichi. "Stop," Karin ordered. Naruto ignored her and kept walking. This did not go down well with the crimson-eyed kunoichi. Ignoring her had been a popular tactic used by one of her former allies, Zetsu, to annoy the kunoichi. "Hey, I said stop. You can't do this. Unless you help me, I'm as good as dead," she yelled angrily, frustration mixing with desperation as she chased after the former Konoha ninja. "Being dead isn't so bad. Personally, I find that I have lots of time to think now." Naruto finally spoke, not stopping as he continued to walk away from the kunoichi. "You are sentencing me to death," Karin yelled, several real tears falling from her eyes as the realization that she would never have a normal life, and she was doomed to die. Eventually someone would discover her. By now her face will have been posted all over the elemental nations with bounty. A living ninja that worked with the Akatsuki would have quite a large bounty at that. Actions have consequences. I had to watch as the first person I had ever called my friend died from my own jutsu. I need to leave in order to bring peace. I'm sorry, but I cannot help you. Your fate is in your own hands. Naruto replied. Naruto took a few more steps when he heard Karin collapse on hands and knees. Tears were falling from her eyes like a constant stream that she couldn't stop despite trying so hard. She was sure from the moment she had seen Naruto for the first time that he had a kind, forgiving soul. But now that same person had just told her he was leaving her to die. Please, she begged. I need your help. I'll do anything. Naruto's heart was breaking as he continued to walk. Please, help me, she echoed weakly. Naruto stopped and rubbed the bridge of his nose, trying to ignore the desperate Kunoichi's plea. I can't. If I help you, everything I have worked for is ruined. I need to stay dead. I'm sorry. Naruto spoke sadly. His heat truly went out to Karin. He held no great sympathy for her, as she had put herself in this situation, but at the same time he couldn't help but feel bad knowing he was leaving her to be captured and killed as a member of the Akatsuki. Then, take me with you? Karin asked, knowing it was her last hope. It's too dangerous. Where I'm going is not somewhere an ordinary shinobi can survive. Naruto said. I'll survive. I heal fast and I'm not easy to kill. I survived Sasuke's attack on that bridge in the land of iron after all. I can help you. I'm the best sensor that there is. And my blood heals others' wounds in an instant. Karin said, her mind already made up. If she was as good as dead anyway, you don't even know where I'm going. Naruto reasoned. I don't care. If I stay, I will be found eventually. I can't wear a hood for my entire life no matter how good I am at suppressing my chakra. Going with you is my only hope. Karin replied, seeing that Naruto was starting to soften. I can't guarantee your safety. Naruto warned, his resistance fading. This is a risk, Naruto. Kurama spoke. I know, but if I leave her she will be killed, or worse, she could tell everyone that I am still alive. That would be very bad for me. Even if nobody believed her, it's still a voice that could tell others. Naruto sighed. She worked with the Akatsuki, that should be enough to ignore her, or even better kill her. But I guess you wouldn't be you unless you forgave the girl. Kurama sighed in mild disappointment. I can take care of myself, so can I come? Karin asked, rubbing the tears from her eyes. Naruto closed his eyes and nodded. Yes, you can come. Now hurry up, and I hope you have money to pay for your passage on the old man's supply caravan. He sighed, turning away from the kunoichi. He was not happy with himself. If he was honest, he knew he shouldn't have agreed to let her come. Two people were easier to find than one. Because of this he held some resentment for the kunoichi. But he just couldn't leave her to die. A smile of joy broke across Karin's face. Thank you, thank you, thank you, she chanted, getting to her feet slowly. Save it, you can follow me until we are safe. But if you try anything, or I so much as think you are trying to contact anyone, giving away our location, I will move on without you. Naruto warned. His confrontation with the kunoichi made Naruto realize that he had matured quite a lot recently. Then again, fighting in a war will change someone. Naruto just hoped that it was a change for the better. Karin just nodded and fell into step behind the blonde as they followed the road after Asahi's wagon. It's not ideal and I'm stuck with him, but it's far better than the alternative, she resigned. It didn't take long for Naruto to catch up to the caravan when he was moving like a shinobi should. Hey old man, we have a new passenger, so I'll double the fee, Naruto said as he landed at the back of Asahi's wagon. The bald former IWA shinobi turned just as Karin pulled herself onto the moving wagon. A girlfriend? Well, you sure know how to go on the run. Asahi laughed. She's not a girlfriend. Hell, she's not even a friend. More like a potential assassin trying to kill me in my sleep, Naruto said flatly. Asahi chuckled at the Naruto's rather annoyed expression. It was clear he was not that keen on having the redhead tagging along. Odd choice of travel companions then, kid, but who am I to judge? Good to have you aboard, miss? Karin. The kunoichi spoke quietly, not sure how she should react around the blonde. If she overstretched her boundaries, she could find herself on the side of the road or tied to a tree. Just Karin? You don't have a family name? Asahi asked. Karin shook her head. I didn't know my parents, and nobody had ever seen fit to give me a clan name. She admitted, slightly saddened by that thought. She had thought of Kusa as a home, but then she was never accepted there. Then she thought working with Orochimaru was where she belonged, but the more she thought about it, the more obvious it was that he just wanted her for her healing abilities. I guess nobody has ever thought enough of me to give me one. That's stupid. Ero-sennin never had a clan name, but that didn't mean people didn't care for him. There was me, Bachan, the old sages, and his summons. Not having a family doesn't mean people don't care for you, Naruto said firmly. Karin's eyes widened. She never expected Naruto to say something so kind when she had basically blackmailed him into taking her with him. I thank you, she said with a small smile. I didn't say it for you. I don't want anyone to say that just because he lacked a clan that Ero-sennin was not loved or respected, Naruto said aggressively, causing the kunoichi to look slightly crestfallen. Naruto's face softened. He never meant to hurt the girl. But you're welcome, and I am sure the same can be said for you. Karin smiled again and wanted to leave it at that but couldn't help but ask one last question. Who's Ero-sennin? With a name like that it doesn't sound like they are someone I want to meet. She giggled. Yeah, quite a few people were not his biggest fans. He was a massive pervert. Every day he would spend time writing those perverted books of his or go to spy on women in bathhouses. Naruto said, thinking about his godfather fondly. It still upset him to know that Jiraiya had died. He remembered wanting nothing more than to have Jiraiya see him becoming Hokage and surpass his father. What a pig! Karin shouted angrily. Like most kunoichi, and women in general, she found the idea of someone watching them while they bathed off-putting, to say the least. Yeah, I guess he was. But he was also the man who taught me how to be a shinobi and more importantly how to be a man. I never had a father growing up, but I wouldn't have asked for anyone better than Ero-sennin. Naruto of course knew who his father was now, but he still owed Jiraiya a debt that couldn't be repaid for making him into the person he was now. Karin's rage subsided, finding herself unable to continue hating the man that her new traveling companion seemed to respect so much. You still haven't told me who he is, or why you call him Ero-sennin if you respect him so much, although I think I can guess the last part, she said, a twinge of annoyance remaining towards the lovable pervert. He was my master, Jiraiya. And yeah, I called him Ero-sennin, because he was a self-proclaimed super pervert, and he was a sage, ergo Ero-sennin. Naruto laughed. Asahi, who had been listening to the two teens with mild interest, almost fell off the wagon when he heard this. Jiraiya. And a sage. This kid was trained by the same man who trained the Yondaime Hokage, and one of the legendary 3 ninja of Konoha. How the hell is this kid still a genin? He's old enough to be at least a chunin, and that chakra level he had when he stopped suppressing his chakra. It was so powerful, no way this kid is normal, he thought, but he kept those thoughts to himself. I thought your sensei was that scarecrow guy. Kakashi was his name, right? Karin asked. Yeah, Kakashi-sensei was my jounin sensei, but Ero-sennin was my master. Well, I guess you would say he took me as his apprentice. I had 2 teachers. I guess I'm pretty lucky, Naruto answered. What, you were trained by Jiraiya of the Sannin and Kakashi Hatake? Asahi said, unable to keep in his surprise. Naruto froze. He had refrained from talking about himself as much as possible, but the distraction of Karin's arrival made him forget all about the fact Asahi was a former ninja. Well, this isn't good, Naruto thought, rubbing the back of his neck in embarrassment. Chapter 5. Troubles with Chakra. The sky was dark. No stars shone in the night sky. The sound of light rain hitting the canvas top of Asahi's caravan was the only sound that could be heard in the dark. Karin sat in a corner of the large wagon, unable to see a foot ahead of her face. She closed her eyes to check the area for signs of chakra just to keep herself busy. Immediately the world that had been so dark to her seemed to shine. She noticed Asahi at the front of the wagon's calm if not somewhat dulled chakra. However, as always when she had used her unique technique of sensing others' chakra over the past few days, Naruto quickly caught her attention. The first time she had done this at a close range, she made a startling discovery. The darkness she had felt within him when they had first met in the Land of Iron was gone. She couldn't understand this, but at the same time she had no idea how to bring the subject up. After that she had taken to staring at his chakra, sometimes close to an hour at a time, as if expecting that crushing darkness to burst forth and consume the brilliant light that she thought at times seemed almost blinding. Due to her newfound familiarity with Naruto's chakra, it did not take her long to realize that something was off about the blonde. His chakra may have been suppressed, but at the same time the spikes in tension and excitement screamed of someone who was fighting for his life. Something is wrong with him, she thought, a little worried. While Naruto was not in any danger, he was in a sense in a fight. Not good enough, Naruto. If you can't even create a jutsu in your mind, how are you supposed to do it for real? Kurama lectured. Deep within Naruto's mindscape, the blonde Jinchuriki stood with his hands on his knees and slightly panting. Kurama stood a fair way away at the far side of a large open field that seemed to be floating with darkness surrounding it on all sides. It might be easier if I could train without you trying to impale me with those tails of yours, Naruto whined. Nonsense, you have always been at your best when you are fighting for your life. How is this any different? Kurama spoke with a slightly sadistic smile gracing his features. Well, for one, I was allowed to fight with my full strength on all other occasions, and secondly, I really have no idea how I'm supposed to create a jutsu anyway. The Raisin Shuriken is just pure manipulation. I was never any good at hand seals. Naruto complained. That sounds more like a Naruto problem than a Kurama problem. The fox teased. Naruto's sweat dropped. Did you just refer to yourself in the third person? Yeah, I thought I would give it a go. What do you think? Kurama replied, rubbing his chin with the tail. Naruto just shook his head. He still struggled to believe just how much the once cold mass of hatred had lightened up, becoming a companion and friend. So much so that it had come to the point where the fox would even joke and laugh with him. I'm not a fan. You do realize that will just give me more incentive to do it again, right? Kurama said with a small smirk. The thought had crossed my mind. Naruto replied with a deadpan expression. Look, can you just help me with creating a futon jutsu rather than trying to kill me? He asked exasperatedly. What do you need another jutsu for anyway? You have the Bijudama. What more could you possibly want? Kurama replied, blowing his question off. Because, believe it or not, I don't want to kill or flatten everything I come across. Naruto sighed. From what I can remember, it's actually quite fun. You should at least give it a try. Kurama chuckled. Gah! I can't believe I am saying this, but why can't you be serious? Naruto yelled in frustration. However, moments later the blonde had a thought that made him chuckle. Wait a minute, you don't know how to create a jutsu either, do you? Don't be ridiculous. I can do anything. The Kyuubi said in his most arrogant voice, but for once seemed somehow unconvincing. So that's why you won't help me, you can't? Naruto laughed. Don't make me angry, Naruto. Kyuubi yelled, firing a tiny Bijudama at the ground beneath the blonde's feet, causing Naruto to flip away with ease. What's the matter? Kurama doesn't like hearing the truth? The blonde laughed again. That's it. You die now. The giant fox fumed and began to raise his head to form a proper Bijudama. Wait, Naruto, we can't play right now, you have to leave the seal. That girl is up to something. Outside of the seal, Naruto's eyes snapped open to see Karin standing over him, an arm reached out towards his chest. Acting on instinct, Naruto grabbed her arm in the blink of an eye and flipped her to the ground. He was now kneeling over her with their legs tangled, a fist pulled back as he glared down at her. What are you doing? He asked, anger and suspicion clear on his face, even in the darkness. Karin was cowering beneath the blonde's gaze, her arms crossed over her face. I'm sorry, I was searching the area for any ninja that might have been following us when I noticed your chakra was acting peculiarly. I just wanted to make sure you were alright, she said. It was not a lie, she had come to check on him to see if he was alright, but saying she had been searching for other ninjas sounded less confusing than saying she was staring at his chakra trying to find where his darkness had gone. She didn't know how, or want to bring that topic up just yet. Things had begun to improve between the pair after Naruto told her about Jiraiya, but they were still not what someone would call friends. Naruto lowered his fist. Oh, I guess I'm sorry then. Don't worry about me, I was just training in my mind. My chakra is too recognizable to leave it exposed for long enough to get any actual training in, so I have been training while I rest. I don't want to become rusty, Naruto said, deciding to omit the part about having sparring matches with the Kyuubi. Asahi was no doubt listening. Even if he didn't care about Naruto's past, there were some secrets that you just didn't let slip around a former Umbu ninja. Karin let out a sigh of relief. Her heart was still beating out of her chest from the fright she had been given, like it was trying to get a lifetime's worth of beats out in an instant. It wasn't until her heart finally began to slow down that she realized the compromising position the pair was in. She felt her face burn red with a blush that she was thankful of how dark it was in the caravan. Her reaction was somewhat predictable, pushing Naruto away with all the strength she could manage. Get off me! She squeaked with as much anger and authority as she could manage through her embarrassment. Naruto, for his part, was also sporting a mild blush. That was the first time he had been in that sort of situation with a kunoichi that didn't terrify him. He still shuddered when thinking about Anko at the start of the second round of the Chunin exams. Sorry, it won't happen again, don't worry, Naruto said with a slightly hollow voice. Karin didn't respond. She was in shock. Much like Naruto, that was her first time in a situation like that. She didn't even register the fact that her heart was now beating twice as fast as when she thought she was going to die just moments earlier. Konoha. Kakashi sighed as he looked down upon the new Konoha. The slowly being rebuilt Konoha. No painting had been done, all buildings were the same wooden color, and only 2 trading roads had been opened, intersecting at the middle of the village. The large crater the village now resided was going to a constant reminder to the village of Naruto and the then Akatsuki leader Nagato's fight. that had already become the stuff of legend. "Welcome back, Kakashi-sama." Two Chunin guards greeted as Kakashi stepped into the village for the first time as Hokage. "How did the meeting with the other leaders go?" one of the Chunin asked. "Not bad. But not as well as I had hoped. We need to meet again in a few months once IWA choose their new Kage." Kakashi answered with a rather tired-looking smile. "I see, but that is at least better than a failure to agree that an alliance is possible." The other Chunin said with a smile of his own. "I guess that is true. Any news for me at this end?" Kakashi asked. "Yes, there is. The village elders require your presence in the Hokage Tower immediately." The first Chunin to speak said. Kakashi nodded but gave a smile. "No rest for a Hokage, it seems." He sighed. He did not want to get on the bad side of the village elders. They had caused some problems for Tsunade during her time as Hokage, although that was mostly due to Danzo's use of Shueisui Uchiho's rather unique Sharingan. Civilians and shinobi alike greeted their new Kage as he passed, making Kakashi glad that the war had not broken the spirit of the people. The new Kage Tower had not been completed yet. Only the first 2 floors were open, meaning Kakashi had to wait to get his office. The first thing Kakashi noted was the building was slightly larger than the previous Hokage Tower, even in its incomplete state. The moment Kakashi entered the door to the entrance hall, he was greeted by the very 2 people that were awaiting his arrival. Koharu was an elderly woman who kept her light brown hair tied back in a tight bun held in place by 2 long pins that Kakashi had very little doubt had a secondary use as a weapon. Hamura had spiky hair much like his former teammate the Sandaime Hokage, but had a full beard more like Hiruzen's deceased son Asuma. His only other distinguishing feature were the thin, green oval glasses he wore. "Oh Kakashi, we have been awaiting your return. There are a few topics we must discuss," Hamura said in a respectful tone. "I guess it's my duty. Let's find a room to talk in private, shall we?" Kakashi suggested. The 3 shinobi found a small empty office and went inside. "So what do you want?" Kakashi asked. "There are several things. The funeral for the Uzumaki boy seems to be a popular event. We have received requests to attend from countries all over the elemental nations, so much so we could not hope to accommodate even half of them," Koharu informed the Rokudame. Kakashi sighed. This was why he didn't want to be Hokage. The red tape and laborious day-to-day running of a ninja village. He would rather be back fighting in a battle to the death rather than deciding who can and cannot attend Naruto's funeral. All of Konoha should be allowed to attend should they wish. Then key dignitaries from the individual countries, with emphasis on the 5 great nations and the Land of Iron. For the rest of the places, we will need to charge people to attend. Konoha needs the revenue. We lost a large number of shinobi in the war. Kakashi sighed, hoping he made the right choice. "We can arrange that. I am also glad you brought up the fact we need to rebuild after the war because the next subject is rather sensitive." Hamura spoke calmly. "Sensitive? In what way?" Kakashi questioned. "It's about the possessions of Minato, Namikaze, and Jiraiya. Their jutsu scrolls and possessions were all left to be handed over to Naruto Uzumaki upon his 18th birthday. However, with the Uzumaki boy's death, Konoha takes possession of all items, as Naruto had no living relatives. Jiraiya was a very wealthy man, as was Minato, and their individual jutsu could make Konoha once more the most powerful village in the elemental nations. With Jiraiya's money alone we could pay for the reconstruction of Konoha completely, and become debt-free." Koharu pressed. "You want me to take the life's work of both Jiraiya-sama and Minato-sensei and distribute them out through the village?" Kakashi asked, not liking the idea. "We do not like the thought of giving up Minato and Jiraiya's secrets any more than you do, Kakashi. But all of the great nations are severely weakened at the moment. If the alliance fails, then a power vacuum could open, and another war could start." Hamura answered. Kakashi sighed, closing his eyes in deep thought. "Fine, do you know where Minato-sensei and Jiraiya-sama's possessions are?" he asked. "We do, but there is a problem." Koharu sighed. "That does sound like those 2, they very rarely did anything easily." "So what is it?" "A seal that only opens with Naruto's blood? A time-release seal? I can have a look, but I am not in their league when it comes to sealing," Kakashi admitted. "No, it is nothing like that, although either would not surprise me. It seems that due to Jiraiya's life as a hermit, and holding no property in his own name, Jiraiya left his possessions along with Minato and Kushina's in a secure location outside of the village for safekeeping." Koharu continued with a frown. Kakashi had a fairly good idea where this was heading now. "Myobokuzen, exactly?" the elders said at the same time. "Then send a message to the Toads to receive the items." Kakashi answered. He knew Tsunade had contacted the Toads on several occasions. "We can't, All the toads from around Konoha seem to have disappeared. It's almost like they are in hiding. Hamura said, then we will have to look harder. I will put this as a priority mission tomorrow. The new Hokage declared. Is there anything else that you need me for? He asked. No, I believe that will be all for now, Kakashi. The elderly Kunoichi spoke. Kakashi nodded with an eye smile before exiting the room, resigned to the possibility of perhaps having to distribute Naruto's inheritance amongst the clans of Konoha. But why have the toads disappeared? They have been guardians of Konoha for close to 50 years. I guess without Jiraiya and Naruto, the Toad clan's affiliation with Konoha doesn't really exist anymore. Still, you would expect them to at least stick around. Fukusuka-sama and Shima-sama would at least want to go to Naruto's funeral. He added as an afterthought. The truth was that the Toads had seen this coming. They left the forests around Konoha to avoid the topic of Naruto. They couldn't hand over their summoner's belongings and inheritance, for the simple fact that Naruto was not dead. Naruto did not want anyone to know this fact, something that the elder Toads agreed to keep hidden. 3 days later, Naruto looked out the back of the caravan to see small stones falling from the sky like rain as they fell from the high peaks on the mountain range they were traveling along. We must be pretty far north now, huh? Naruto asked, looking up at the snow-capped peaks that surrounded the group on each side. Yeah, we're nearing the most northern civilian settlement in the country. After that, the mountains get more and more treacherous, and only a few ninja outposts that haven't been manned since the Second Shinobi World War remain. Asahi answered. Really? How long until we arrive? Naruto pressed. He had not expected to have been taken this far when he paid for the ride. A few days yet. You will know it when you see it. It's the village of Iwame, also known as the Raining Stone. Asahi said with a smile. Well, looks that will be where we part ways then, old man. Naruto informed the caravan owner. Karin, for her part, had been barely listening. She had been currently observing Naruto's chakra, searching for the darkness she had felt in the land of iron, only to once more come up empty. Naruto's last comment broke her out of her daze, however. Hey Whiskers, you never told me where we are going anyway? She asked firmly. She still blamed the blonde for the situation they were in 3 nights ago. Since when did she become so familiar with me? Naruto frowned. The blonde was about to answer when Kurama cut in. Since the night she interrupted our training, seems like her timid, quiet attitude was just an act. Probably didn't want to be abandoned. Still, I don't trust this girl. The fox informed his container. Well, are you going to tell me where you plan on taking us or not? Karin pressed. No, I'm not. You can always go your own way if you don't like it. Naruto replied, far more aggressive than he had planned. I mean, not right now. I'll tell you later. The less people that know where I'm going, the better. He explained, feeling bad about yelling at the kunoichi. Fine. Karin said with a huff, folding her arms and turning to watch the country pass behind the wagon. I can't figure her out. She begs to come with me, then acts like I'm forcing her to follow me. Naruto sighed. Why care? It's likely that she will die crossing the mountains anyway. The air will be thin and temperatures well below freezing. Kurama retorted. Well, I don't want her to die. I know she basically guilt-tripped me into letting her tag along. Then there's the fact that she used to work for the Akatsuki. But that doesn't mean I want her dead. Naruto replied. Well, forgive me for not being ready to forgive someone who wanted you dead and to seal me away inside that statue. I don't trust her, and neither should you. The large fox scoffed. Either way, for the time being I'm stuck with her. I did promise she could come with me, didn't I? Naruto sighed, still wondering if he made the right choice. Still, I'm glad she has livened up a bit, but she's harder to figure out than Sakura-chan and Hinata-chan combined. He added as an afterthought. Kurama began laughing. It's typical with you, isn't it? When you're faced with a dilemma that is not how to defeat some overly powerful adversary, you are about as useless as those bright orange and blue jumpsuits you used to wear were for stealth. At least that old perverted toad made you tone them down a bit. How can you talk? You're a 50-foot-tall fox. Your idea of stealth would be to destroy everything, leaving no evidence you were there at all, which would be fine if you didn't leave a massive path of destruction in your path everywhere you went. Naruto laughed back. Big words, but I went unnoticed for hundreds of years before Madara summoned me to fight Hashirama Senju. Kyuubi retorted. Naruto couldn't help but admit that the giant fox had a point. How did the Bijou remain undetected for so long? Before the fight with Madara there was very little interactions with the Bijou. Naruto was about to ask how that could have happened when he noticed Karin staring at him inquisitively. Yes? He asked, puzzled as to why she was looking at him. Karin blushed in embarrassment, realizing you had been caught. I'm trying to figure your chakra out, she admitted. Huh? Naruto replied, more confused than ever. Well, I can see people's chakra. but I also can get a feel of their personality and current mood. Well, whenever you become unnaturally quiet, your chakra seems to become overly active, sometimes annoyed, others angry or happy, almost like you are laughing. Karin attempted to explain. Oh, so you can feel the tiny fluctuations of my chakra and determine what I'm thinking? Naruto guessed. No, nothing that advanced, more along the lines of what you are feeling. Certain emotions come across stronger than others while some don't come across at all, or I have just never seen them. Karin explained. Sounds useful. I can use a similar technique, although it only picks up on negative emotions, and I can't use it all the time. Naruto admitted. Interesting. Kurama thought calmly to himself. Yes, negative emotions come across very strongly. Karin agreed. So what does it look like? Naruto asked. What? Karin queried. Chakra, I can visualize it to use, like when I form a jutsu. I can sense it, but you said that you can see it and the emotions. I want to know what it looks like when it's not compressed into a jutsu, the way you see chakra. Naruto asked with a friendly smile. I really don't know why I never asked Niji or Hinata-chan this. Karin couldn't help but return the blonde's smile but paused on how to answer the question. It's sort of hard to explain. Everyone has different chakra that feels differently, for each individual. Oh. Then what about mine? Naruto pressed. Well, let's see. It's bright, almost blindingly so, and very light and happy. Karin answered with a small smile. It's also the most overwhelmingly powerful chakra I have ever felt, and not to mention the fact that his darkness has vanished makes him something I have never seen or felt before. She added and thought too embarrassed to admit something like that to Naruto, who she still barely knew. It was not embarrassed in a romantic way. Her interest was born out of scientific curiosity. She had worked with Orochimaru long enough to gain an interest in the unusual. I see, and what about Sasuke? What was his chakra like? The blonde pressed. That's a little more complicated. When I first met Sasuke, his chakra was very self-assured and powerful, but it slowly became darker. The last time I saw it, his chakra was so dark and suffocating that it scared me. His negative emotions darkened his personality and chakra to the point he was unrecognizable. The kunoichi admitted sadly. She still hadn't gotten over the Uchiha. In the end, your first love will always remain your first love. Naruto hung his head slightly. I see, it was that bad, huh? I could feel it when we fought, but I didn't know how far he was gone. Still, in the end, he helped me. He helped everyone. I like to think that I was able to help him as well, he said with a weak smile. Well, I don't know if it helps, but Sasuke-kun's chakra seemed more like it used to when they brought the bodies back to the headquarters. Karin replied. Is that how you knew I was alive? The Kyuubi Jinchuriki pressed. Yes, that clone may have been able to match your chakra signature, but not how the chakra looked or felt to me. The redhead admitted. Very interesting indeed. This girl's abilities surpassed those of my first container Mito. If that red hair wasn't enough to give it away, then this certainly did. That girl is an Uzumaki, there is no doubting it now. I don't really want to keep things from Naruto, but I do not want him becoming attached to this girl. Uzumaki or not, she is dangerous. From my best estimate, she is only a genin-level shinobi, not good enough to survive on her own, and a risk if Naruto has to protect her. Kurama thought. Meanwhile, at the front of the caravan, a certain former Umbu from IWA was listening to the two teens with rapt attention. This kid, I know who he is now. How did I not see it earlier? Blonde spiky hair and blue eyes. The Yondaime Hokage's legacy, trained by Jiraiya or the Sannin, and copycat Kakashi. No way you are genin level, young Namikaze. Asahi thought silently, his mind racing at the realization of just who it was in the back of his caravan. Meanwhile, not one, we couldn't find a single toad, summons or otherwise. Niji sighed as he entered into Kakashi's temporary office while the Hokage Tower was still being built. The Hyuga was flanked by Kiba, Hinata, and Shino. 2 days of searching had not turned up a single toad, or even a frog for that matter. Kakashi sighed and looked up onto the Hokage monument, more specifically onto the face of his sensei. I had feared as much. Without any summoners, they probably cannot stay outside of Myobokuzen for an extended period of time. Jiraiya-sama had the toads watch over Naruto as a child to make sure he wasn't seriously harmed, and after that Naruto was a summoner, so they watched over the village as guardians. They have no reason to stay here now. It makes sense, but you would have expected one of the summons to be in contact. Niji replied. It would be logical for the toads to be weary. The last time a successor was chosen for Tsunade-sama, things did not turn out well. There is also the friendship between the slug summons and the toads. It could be that they do not wish to deal with anyone but Tsunade-sama. Shino added. Ano, I don't think we should call off the search. Kakashi-sama, please allow me to go continue. I'll increase the search radius. Hinata said with a determined glint in her eye. Kiba and Niji gave the kunoichi a worried glance. Shino was equally concerned but remained his stoic self. Hinata, you haven't stopped since we got back to Konoha, you need a rest. Kiba said as calmly as the Inuzuka could manage. I appreciate the concern, Kiba-kun, but Naruto-kun wouldn't give up just because things were not going his way. He would keep going regardless, and that's what I plan on doing. Hinata said defiantly. Kakashi closed his eyes and thought. Naruto's death had affected those close to him in different ways, some like Sakura grieved. Others seemed to have their own ideas about what happened to the blonde Jinchuriki. Shikamaru was in this category. The lazy Nara firmly believed that Naruto was alive, but it would be too troublesome to go after him. Then there was the final group. The majority of those that Naruto had been closest to fell into this group, that of the highly motivated. They all wanted to prove that they could live up to Naruto's name, and help fill the void left by the energetic knucklehead turned first-class shinobi. None fitted this description better than Hinata. Everyone knew of the way she felt about Naruto, and had all expected her to be stricken with grief. Instead, she seemed to take to Naruto's nindo stronger than ever before. I'm sorry, Hinata, but that will not do any good. If the toads do not want to be found, then they will remain hidden. The only chance we have of contacting them is if Tsunade-sama wakes up from her coma. Besides, there are more pressing matters that I have need of a tracking team for. Kakashi informed the group. Anything, we won't let you down. Hinata said before any of the others had a chance to answer. It's good to see you're eager, but I can assure you this is no easy mission. Several Umbu hunter squads have been working on it for close to a month but haven't found anything. Kakashi informed the group. A missing Nin? Niji guessed. Yes, a top priority one. Kakashi said, taking out a folder and placing it open on the desk. She escaped during the war and has avoided capture or even a shred of a trail ever since. That's the kunoichi you captured working with Sasuke. Niji registered. Exactly, she is also a member of the Akatsuki and as such considered an S-ranked criminal with a kill-on-sight order. Kakashi informed the group. S-ranked criminal? Aren't they supposed to be the best of the best? She was just one of Sasuke's henchmen. Kiba scoffed. Kiba skilled those not determine the class. An S-ranked criminal is a shinobi or a civilian wanted for crimes against the shinobi village, country or equivalent. Just because she was not one of the main instigators of the Akatsuki does not make her crimes any less. This was compounded by her escape from Konoha. Shino said ever logically. Shino is right, Kiba. I have already sent the information to the other countries. She will be the most wanted person in the elemental nations by now. Kakashi said, agreeing with Shino. Although personally he did not see the harm in letting the kunoichi go, it was clear to Kakashi from the moment they captured her she was no threat to Konoha or any shinobi above Chunin level for that matter. He also knew that she had been missing for such a long time now that finding her would be almost impossible. When do we leave? Niji asked in a businesslike manner. Tomorrow morning, take the rest of the day off. And I mean it, no training, no helping with the reconstruction work. That's an order, do I make myself clear? Kakashi said, making sure to stare at Hinata directly. Yes, Hokage-sama. The 4 Konoha shinobi declared in unison before being dismissed. This job is such a pain in the ass, I can see why Tsunade-sama drank so much. Kakashi thought while discreetly withdrawing his little orange book. Now I can finally focus on the main issue that is going to plague my time as Hokage. The fact that there will be no more new Aika Aika without Jiraiya-sama. He cried silently as he neared the end of one of his favorite chapters.